What's going on? Welcome to another live edition of Real Fans Real Talk. Oh man, it's NBA Finals week. We got a lot going on. There's some big fights going down this weekend. Had a major loss in the baseball world. Oh my goodness. Eric, I tried, bro. I did. I tried. I
Well,
tried.
we don't hear the background audio this time, so you good. You
Oh,
good.
you good? Okay,
Yeah,
I
you good.
bet.
You good.
So it works out then. All right, everything works out. But yeah, we got a whole lot going down this week. But let me introduce my co-host right now because we got a very special guest joining us, and we're gonna get right to it. Legend in two games, Eric Sanchez. What's going on, man?
What's really good, man? Super excited to get back to it. But listen, all that it's a busy week and all that sound great. But we got a special guest, man. And we got one main topic we need to get into. We in the middle of the NBA finals. So we got a special person with us, man.
What up?
Scoop B.
What's
No
up?
sources. What's going on? Brandon Scoop B Robinson, NBA insider, the man that
Multiple,
really got the scoops.
multiple league sources.
That's what they're saying out there.
Eh,
I think they're respecting it now a little bit. I think they're starting to respect it.
Listen, man, who cares what they think? As long as you are in your mental space and you know who you are and you're happy and you and yours is great, people gonna always have something to say. I'm glad that I've been rocking with y'all since the beginning. You've been rocking with me. Always a pleasure to sit down with you guys and talk hoops, something we both love. All three of us. All three of us.
Yes. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's get into it, man. NBA Finals. Very exciting. It's tied at 1-1. Denver and Miami as they get ready to go to South Beach for game 3. Scoop, are you surprised right now that the series is tied at 1?
No.
You thought Miami was going to steal one of these two?
I mean, I still believe that Miami can win the 6.
Let me call Joe's. I gotta get on the call with Joe's.
Hold on. I'm gonna need a little more detail in that answer because what is it that you see? I mean, this Miami team is well coached, obviously with Coach Spo. Jimmy Butler's an absolute dog. But what do you see from the team that makes you believe they could win this in 6 games?
Why not? I mean, they beat the Knicks, they beat the Bucks, they beat the Celtics. To me, I feel like the Celtics series was batting practice for the Nuggets because the Celtics and the Nuggets both have in common is they're both deep teams that have deep rosters, and they're speaking on the side of Denver's second unit could easily be a starting unit on another team. This is the good boy version of the Portland Trailblazers back in the 2000s. But as it relates to your question specifically about this Heat series, I think this Heat team has done more with less. I mean, you don't have Tyler Hero, you don't have Victor Oladipo. You've had Gabe Vincent and Duncan Robinson step up as role players alongside of a stellar 1-2 punch of Jimmy and Bam Adebayo, and Jimmy didn't even give you his best hit yet. He hasn't even cracked 30 yet. So I think that when you look at this Heat team, the thing to me that stands out, like for those from the hood, they like the roach who just won't die.
they do keep fighting, man.
Yeah, but seriously, I'll add this: when you look at game 1 and game 2. Denver and Miami both did the same thing. They cranked it up in the third and fourth quarter. If you look at Miami's defense, their defense was their calling card because it's almost like you let their best player score 40, but then you let them other guys shoot. If they make it, they make it. Their big guy, like I feel like Jokic being guarded by Bam Adebayo is like Zangief being guarded by Guile or by Ryu. Like, he's just overly sized, and he's going to get those points. But Bam held his own offensively, actually in both games. It's just Denver's supporting cast is what took over. But I also think, and lastly, the biggest difference, I think, between 1 and 2 from Miami was, 1, starting Kevin Love. Kevin Love was plus 18 in game 2. Yeah. But also Gabe Vincent went off, and you had a showing from Duncan Robinson. moving forward, you never know what concoction of guys are going to step up. But I really do think, as much as Denver is who they are, and I enjoy watching them, they can be beaten. But Miami has proven that they can beat big teams in the East at the very least.
Yeah. So can we go to school? Who bought a Scoops comment? So should the Nuggets be nervous right now?
I think anytime you have the opportunity to step foot on an NBA court and play in the NBA Finals, you should have butterflies. I don't think it's the nervous in the way maybe that you're asking. I think both teams should be nervous because they want to win the chip and represent their families, their countries, their city, the city they play for, the jersey they represent. But I think that nervous thing should be more along the lines of, how does Denver make adjustments? But also, how does Miami make adjustments? Because I always look at game ones as filler or feel out games. Game one is a feel out game because you're trying to figure out who your opponent is. I said this on a show yesterday. I don't care if you're playing Connect Four. You're trying to feel to see who's going to make what move and how you counter it. I think that, when you look at Denver and what they did, I mean, they still were successful by Jokic scoring 40 points and seeing who else on their roster, not named Murray, could step up. And I think that there are some other factors there. I think when you look at Denver, for Miami, the climate, the altitude climate was different than you playing 7 games between Miami and Boston and then going down to Denver. The same climate thing could be said for Denver going to Miami. I think there's just a lot of adjustments you're going to have to make in game. Everybody knows everybody's plays, and you move accordingly.
Yeah, that's a great point, Scoop, because as I always tell Trip, game 2 is where the adjustments are made. Coach Bo, an amazing coach, obviously he made some adjustments. But you highlighted as well, Miami just shot better in game 2. Max Strus came out, knocked down his early threes, gave Vincent look better. Kevin Love gave him a little bit more size. Going to Miami now, what adjustments do you think Denver can make to kind of counter that and then take advantage or take control of the series again?
Denver would have to make an adjustment, stopping the three. But I also think on the other side of it, Denver has to match Miami's defense. Miami played decent. Outside of Adebayo, they played decent defense. But here's the thing: even in the fourth quarter, when Miami had like an 8 or 10 point lead, Jamal Murray and them came out swinging. Jokic came out swinging. Like there's still a level of Denver is dangerous. They're a good team. But I also think it's interesting to watch Denver, Miami. It's literally Rocky going up against Rocky. This is like not Rocky versus Apollo Creed. These are two underdog teams that nobody expected for them to be where they were. Like if you looked at the East at the beginning of the season, we were saying Brooklyn. Then the trade happened. Then you had, Philly. Then Milwaukee. Then Boston. Like those are the higher echelon teams, right? Then you look at the West. The Lakers got it together at the trade deadline. And then, Memphis was what it was. The Clippers were what they were. Like, I think Denver, though, was at least in the conversation prior to even during the bubble. Because many people said after the bubble, once they have a healthy Jamal Murray, they go into the championship. And they fulfilled on that premonition. So I still do think it's two Rockies, though, because these are two teams that were improbable picks in their respective conferences. And I think there's a level of blue-collar underdogness that they both possess.
Let me go to Courtney's comment real quick because I do want to address that. She says, "But let's be real, they beat the Bucks with a hurt Giannis. I feel Giannis' injury messed up the East." I mean, I do agree that Giannis' injury messed up the East, but Miami beat the Bucks in the past too. They shocked them in like 5 a couple of years back too.
In the bubble.
So yeah, you know what I mean. To get to the finals that year, they played the Lakers. So I'm not gonna go that far and say that. And then you got to think too. Everybody's banged up at this point. Giannis came back. They played the series out. You know what I mean. They still had a chance. Giannis came back with enough time for the Bucks to win the series.
And we can't forget, Giannis missed 2 games in that series. The last 2 games of that series, Milwaukee blew 15-point leads each one of those games with Giannis. So it's not as if Miami only beat up on a injured Milwaukee team. They beat up on them with Giannis too.
Facts. Shout out to Courtney, shout out to Hoop Baller School. Ron, I see you right now. We're gonna get to Ron. Is Jimmy Butler to you all a superstar? I say a star, not a superstar. Think about it. Jimmy don't really show out in the regular season. Hell, he didn't make the All-Star game. I feel he just plays hard. Jimmy's a superstar, man. He got a new name in this playoff. They calling him Playoff Jimmy now. Once you get that kind of a name, you up there.
They've been calling him Playoff Jimmy. Now he's Hemi Butler. Hemi Butler now. That's what the kids is calling him. They call him Hemi Butler now. Scoop, but on this topic, I want to ask you because I feel strongly that prior to Jimmy in Miami, they might have been a negative attachment to his name that, he was the locker room cancer. Now with what he's done in Miami for these 4 years, 2 NBA finals, 3 Eastern Conference finals, do you think this solidifies him as a potential Hall of Famer?
I thought he was a Hall of Famer before all of that.
Even before Miami, the 4 years of Miami, you thought he was a Hall of Famer? Wow. I want you to elaborate a little bit more because for me, I don't think he was a Hall of Famer before this run he's had with Miami. I think this has solidified him in that spot.
I think that Hall of Fame, that voting process is very subjective already. There are people who are in it who haven't won championships. But it's not, and in Jimmy's case, you can't really, we know him mostly for his NBA prowess versus like a Stephon Marbury, where we know him for his impact in high school. And based upon his impact in high school, he should be in there just like Grant Hill. We know him as an NBA player. Injuries did what they did, and we applaud Grant for his time at Duke. I think for Jimmy Butler, I think he was there. He always was there. I think his impact in Philly was overlooked. I think his impact in Minnesota was very effective. I think that his time in Miami is replacing one Marquette guard for another, out with Wade and due to retirement, and with Jimmy. And I think when elbows rub elbows with the Eric Spoelstras of the world, I think he was there. But I think public perception is, if he wins a championship, he's a Hall of Famer. I just think statistically, impact on a team wise, he was already there. I also look at Jimmy Butler as someone who's always been a blue collar superstar. In that, we look at the LeBrons, we look at the Steph Currys, we look at, those are bona fide superstars. But then there's tiers to that. I think that Jimmy Butler has always been in the conversation, but being a superstar also is your impact off the court. Like, for example, Tim Duncan, to me, was always a superstar, but he was a quiet superstar because he didn't want the GQ feature. He didn't get fly haircuts until after he retired. He wasn't concerned about the drip. But on the court, he could give you 20 to 40, give you a double-double, and from time to time give you some assists, some blocks, and more. And he's won multiple championships in San Antonio under Popovich. But he doesn't have an Iverson persona, or he doesn't have a LeBron persona, or he doesn't have, there's a level of oatmeal is boring, but it's good for you. Asparagus is boring, but it's good for you. Salmon is boring, but it's good for you. I feel like Jimmy does give you that persona, but Jimmy is not the superstar you want him to be. He's who he is on his own terms. And I think sometimes that's what creates that. Somebody asked me, is Jimmy Butler now a better player than LeBron James? So you're saying is a top 10 currently NBA player.
You got to relax. Mike Two-Page got to relax. You got to relax.
Yeah, I don't look at it that way. I think that there are levels to superstar, like there's tier 1, tier 2, but that doesn't mean that you're still not a superstar. I just think the way to kind of temper it and quantify it, Shaq said this to me one time. He goes, when you go to McDonald's, there's multiple things on the menu. There's the Big Mac, which is considered like the signature sandwich, but then you have filet of fish, then you have chicken McNuggets, you have a quarter pounder, a double quarter pounder. You have all these different things. There's something on the menu for everybody. I don't necessarily look at it in top 10. I think there is just so much talent and so much history within basketball that we put things into tiers in the sense of, well, this person is better. No, I can still appreciate LeBron and still appreciate Jimmy as well.
Can I interject really quick? I gotta say this because I like how Scoop just casually just gonna drop in. Oh yeah, Shaq told me this. Like y'all was at the barbecue chilling,
just
eating burgers, and Shaq was like, "Hey, we over." I love how he does
on my
this
podcast.
Scoop
Radio's available on all streaming platforms.
Light flex.
3 years ago. No, but I'm saying I'm not even trying to flex. I'm just using that. Listen, when you do reports in school, you got to cite your references, right? You got to do your bibliography. I didn't want to make it seem like I said. Shaq said it to me. Damn it.
Facts. Hey, listen, this come on, man. This is why we love Scoop B on Real Fans Real Talk, man. Love this.
No, man, but I just think that you can appreciate somebody's game. And you may feel it. Some years they're at the top of the game. Sometimes they're not. Like, I don't necessarily look at it in graphs of top 10 and this, that, and the third. But I do think that when you talk about superstars in the NBA, there are certain people that are just staples. LeBron, Steph Curry are definitely in that conversation.
Facts. And Mike's Hoop Page, big shout out to you. We appreciate the comment. But that was borderline out of pocket statement you just made right there. It's Jimmy Butler better than LeBron James.
It's a lot of recency bias as well. I mean, we can't overlook what Bron even did this year. So to say he's ahead of Bron, I wouldn't put him that far. Trip, can you put Brandon Chambers' comment up though? Because I like that one. I know it's a topic we're going to get into. Scoop, we know you're the Kyrie whisperer. You know what's going on in the Kyrie camp. We know what's going on in the Kyrie camp. Brandon's question: who leaks or puts these fake stories that Kyrie wants LeBron to come to Dallas? It might be true, but why is it put out? I guess I'm asking Clutch Sports. I mean, Brandon, if you're saying it's fake and then it might be true, I don't know where you're trying to go with it. But ultimately, Scoop, what do we make of Kyrie on social media over the last week and a half? First, he was saying, "Guys, you got to stop. You're attaching me to LA. Just let me enjoy the off season." Then we hear he's trying to recruit Bron to join Dallas. What do we make of all these social media posts from Kyrie?
I don't know.
Come on, man. Now see how just casual he throws that out there. Scoop, I'm sure you got something that nobody else know about. So without going too deep in the bag, should we think that him and Bron are trying to pair up together, whether in LA, whether in Dallas, whether somewhere else? Is there smoke where there, is there fire where there possibly is smoke?
So what I'll say about the Lakers is this. Why are you laughing?
Because I know it. Go ahead. I'm just gonna let you go.
The Lakers, from what I've heard, is more like going to Brooklyn all over again. Major market, a lot of attention to LeBron and all that goes with it. LeBron is the quarterback of the football team. If they win, he's praised. If they lose, he's ostracized. To me, players have casual conversations all the time. I mean, Kyrie is an LA resident in the offseason. LeBron is a full-time LA resident. I know that the two of them together along with Luka would make sense, but to me, the only way that gets done is if LeBron were to take a buyout. Because realistically, Dallas has nothing to offer LeBron or for the Lakers to get LeBron to create a three-headed monster of Luka, Kyrie, and LeBron. I'll tell you that I think that Kyrie and Phoenix should still be paid attention to. I know that in the trading deadline, Phoenix was very active in trying to bring both Kevin and Kai to the Valley of the Sun. But I think this is going to be many stories that come out over the next week or two, just about his whereabouts and what happens next. I'll leave it like that.
Save that clip, Trip. Save that clip, because we done had Scoop on here before, drop a bomb. Mm-hmm. And then it just happens later on. So we definitely got to keep an eye on that. Trandis Johnson, that one right there, Trip. That's a good one because I know we're gonna get into that as well.
Okay, and listen, we're gonna get to everybody's comments. I know sometimes we jump around depending on where we got to go with the show, but we definitely gonna get to everybody's comments. So keep dropping them up there. All right, let me take this. Where we going with Trandis Johnson? Hold up.
Yeah.
Get you up on the screen. There we go.
So, Scoop, this one's in reference to the Ja Morant. His reps coming out saying it was a toy gun. Obviously, it seems like a PR move.
They were filming a movie. They had the prop guns. You know, the air guns you get.
Yeah. But also, there was reports that Adam Silver said they have uncovered some new evidence and information that they're going to put out after the finals. They don't want to take away from the NBA finals. Have you heard any update on what's going on with Ja Morant and a potential suspension?
Talk has just been anywhere from 30 to 40 games. That's what I've heard.
That was the number I was saying. I was saying 30 because you have to, because you're talking about twice in the 2-month time span. Like, I mean, I get it. They obviously you're gonna throw out there that it was a toy gun, but come on, like nobody trying to hear that right now, especially after you literally just got caught out there doing the same thing,
right?
So nobody's trying to hear that.
Scoop seems frustrated by the whole conversation. He like, I'm tired of hearing about Ja. There's a lot going on over there. It's a lot to unpack.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's a privilege to play basketball in the NBA. At the same time, I feel like watch the company you keep.
Yeah, well, I mean, shoot, if that's his uncle, as first of all, and that's here's my thing too. If this is the uncle who was supposed to be in the car, right, saying that the gun was fake, why are you in the car with him while he's flashing the gun while somebody's on Instagram Live? Anyway, whether it's real or fake, you know what this kid just went through, the suspension and everything else that he had to deal with a couple of 2 months ago. Why would you even be in the car with him while he's doing that and you ain't check him in the first place? Because that should have never even been out there.
You gotta be careful, man. Gotta be careful.
Listen, family can jam you up just as quick as somebody in the street. So, when you get to this stage in your life and you're making that type of money, if you don't want to mess it up, then you better really, like Scoop said, you gotta watch the company you keep, because obviously there's no guidance there. That's supposed to be the uncle. I don't know what's going on.
Yep.
There you go. Scoop letting it be known there. We were talking obviously social media a minute ago with Kyrie. Another story pertaining to social media. Referee Eric Lewis. What are you hearing about that situation with the burner account? He obviously is not officiated a game in these NBA finals. What can we expect to be the fallout from that?
I don't know. That's one of those ones that's a little bit more quiet and kept to the vest. It's a weird situation because we've never seen that before. We have though, kind of, but not really. Like when you think about Colangelo and the Sixers, it reminds me of that, but it's different. I think the NBA is at a point where they're dealing with newer issues that weren't really a thing, and a lot of it is just online stuff, posting stuff, online stuff, video stuff. Like they need like their own digital SVU unit in the NBA to investigate digital offenses. Like I'm joking, but I'm serious. Like a lot of the stuff is just digital stuff rather than like on the court stuff. And that's why I've always used the analogy that the NBA is the new WWE, because when you look at wrestling, the stuff that people say on social media, the stuff that they say on the microphone is just as juicy as the stuff that's going on in the game. And then when you watch the game is like the main event at the Royal Rumble. Like that's really a thing. But I think specifically to the referee, I think you've not seen this before. And I think the NBA, I think that's something they're going to probably look at in the offseason. I think they're trying to keep the focus the game and not all the extracurricular stuff.
Paul, we're gonna get to your comment in a minute. We're gonna talk about the top 5 in the draft in a little while. But Scoop, let me go back to the series. Going into Miami for Game 3, who you taking?
Miami.
Okay. So I might as well. Since you said Miami game 3, who you think they can win both in Miami?
I don't know. I'm taking it a game at a time. I think game 3 Miami is definitely there. I think, but I've always felt like this was going to be a back and forth fight. Like it's going to come down to 12 round. So you're going to see back, forth. Like this is like they're trying to create the double block on Connect 4 right now.
Yeah.
Let you know what I'm talking about.
I ain't mad at it. I told you, listen, y'all know I told y'all before, I'm not bi-coastal, I'm East Coastal. I'm between New York and Miami. So I'm all for Miami doing their thing so I can get down there for the parade at least. I ain't gonna make the finals, but I'm at least get down there for the parade. So let's go Heat. Last time I was there, they showed a brother a lot of love in the arena down there. So I'm all for Miami winning this series.
Finger licking drinks on you.
There you go on trip. Yes. Scoop, in terms of the Nuggets and the Joker, there's been a lot made about the MVP voting this year. Should he have been the 3-time MVP? First, I want to ask you, who did you think was the regular season MVP? And secondly, do you think the voting should change to wait a little bit till we get into the playoffs, where we get a better idea of who is more valuable to their team and the overall success of team winning?
Joel Embiid was the MVP to me of the regular season. Jokic was the MVP of the playoffs and for his respective team. And it's interesting because I actually was there at the Nuggets-Sixers game when Embiid and Jokic went toe-to-toe. And that's when I really saw how potent Denver was outside of Jokic. But the funny thing is, Embiid is impactful on that Sixers team the same way. He just has added help with James Harden and other supporting cast. I think Tyrese Maxey, if Harden doesn't come back, we'll have an all-star caliber season. But to go back to your initial question, I do think that I'd rather be the MVP of the finals than be the NBA's regular season MVP. To me, that's like
Facts.
Like when you in grade school or high school, when somebody crosses you over and you fell, and everybody's like, oh, but the person who crossed them over went up for the layup and missed the shot. You pay more attention to the layup than you do the shot that he missed. I'd rather win the whole thing and be celebrated than that's the later accomplishment, the MVP of the finals and the champion in the finals. I think that as far as voting goes, I think this is just me. You got to add younger people of all shapes and sizes to the voting pool. I know there's a lot of colleagues who have who've pulled out or not been part of the voting process this year as opposed to last year, and then they're adding different pieces, and people are approached over time. But I think that over time you need to bring in some new blood to vote it in, and that's kind of where it is. As far as the playoffs go, no, I think you should cut it off at the regular season because that's the regular season. I think voting in the playoffs can skew what the perception may skew what it is come playoff time. And I think you have to judge based off the regular season or name the regular season MVP at game 82.
Yeah, right. And not let it get into the playoffs. But the Trip, we can't overlook what Scoop just said. He's been dropping a lot of gems today. He already just subliminally he just said he's vouching for us to get a vote next year. He said they need some fresh blood up there. He said they need some fresh blood up there. So subliminally,
I agree.
Right there. Intermediate members. They Tim Frank at the league office. Let these guys vote.
I definitely agree. Scoop, we got another question for you. Let me just really quick. Make sure you guys are tuning in every Thursday. If you're in the New York City area, we are on Verizon 43 from 8 to 9 p.m. If you're not in New York, you can still watch every Thursday. All you got to do is go to realfansrealtalk.com, click that red button on the homepage, and you can watch from anywhere in the world. Also, make sure you're following us on all our social media. Facebook.com/RealFansRealTalk, Instagram, Twitter @RealFanTalk, and of course, subscribe to that YouTube channel, YouTube.com/ForTheFansProductions. And lastly, make sure you guys are subscribed to both the Sanchez Show and the Real Fans Real Talk podcast, streaming on all major platforms. With that being said, Scoop, This question is for you. She's no hoop expert. She's just letting you know from the jump, but she got questions. So shout out to Pooh.
Okay, so I have to break this down. How did the Lakers with Obama and AD get swept right? Because the Denver Nuggets were the better team. When you look at the Lakers, I've often felt like you finish how you start. When you look at the Lakers season, they started off with a brand new coach, Russell Westbrook, and that drama there, and just the need to add more depth. They added more depth. They added D'Angelo Russell. They added Jared Vanderbilt. They added other pieces that were needed. But because you finish how you start, most people have a whole training camp. Most people have kind of time at the beginning of the season to kind of get things together. And they didn't have that time. I think you look at the Nuggets have pretty much been the same cohesive team all season, and they've gotten better over time, and they had a healthy Jamal Murray. And I also think that their head coach, Michael Malone, is so very, very, very underrated. A second-generation coach, if you remember, his dad was an assistant under Jeff Van Gundy and Pat Riley, and he's familiar to the New York metropolitan area. But I really think that the reason why questions like this are asked is because the Lakers are, win, lose, or draw, are such a viable brand, and you expect them to win every year. But that's just not realistic. I think Denver legitimately from top to bottom played their tails off. The Lakers were a top defense, yes, but you don't win every game. Are the Heat a better team than the Lakers? No, because when you look at the Heat in the Eastern Conference, they had to slay juggernauts in their own respective conference with less. I think the misconception, though, is that everybody has said the Eastern Conference is the new dominant force. I think all season Denver has been that consistent. They've been consistent all season long. I think this whole better than notion, it gets really tricky because, one, they play in two different conferences, and two, I think when you look at the Miami Heat and the fact that they were an 8th seed in the NBA's Eastern Conference, they're in uncharted territory. Typically, we look at seeds 1 through 5 as potentially going to the finals. The Heat clawed their way, lost the first game of the play-in tournament, won the second one against the Bulls, and then beat everybody and their mama and their mama's mama. So I think that the Lakers, they didn't win. They're not going to win every year. The Nuggets, they've been a well-oiled machine all year. And the Miami Heat came out of nowhere. I think that just happens. That happens from time to time. Look at the Toronto Raptors in a year where, Kevin Durant was hurt. Klay Thompson was hurt. I think LeBron was hurt, and then look at the Houston Rockets when Michael Jordan was out and they won a championship. And then when he came back, they beat the Orlando Magic in the finals. Like, every year is not going to be the Lakers, the Warriors, the Celtics, the Bulls. It's going to be other teams.
And that's a great point. So I want to say this to the Pooh's comment. We can't just focus it on, they swept the Lakers. They got Phoenix about it in 5 games as well. Denver really ran through the Western Conference. They beat Minnesota in 5. They beat Phoenix in 5. They swept the Lakers. So they have really kind of ran all their competition out the gym. So it wasn't just the Lakers. Everybody in the West, I don't think anybody really would have stood a chance against this Denver team.
But, I look at Phoenix and I look at a similar situation like the Lakers. You make in-season trades. When you make in-season trades, that's not always beneficial to the team in the end. A team like the Detroit Pistons in the 03-04 season, when they traded to get Rasheed Wallace, they beat the Lakers in the finals. That was a well-orchestrated move. That doesn't always happen, though.
That's a great point.
Yeah, absolutely. School, one more question for you. Shout out to Janetta Johnson.
Hey, Janetta.
She says, so who will be the new GM for the Warriors? And do you trade Poole and keep Draymond? What could you get for Jordan Poole?
I don't know who will be the new GM for the Warriors. I haven't got any intel on that, but when I do, you'll be the first to know. Do you trade for Poole and keep Draymond? I still feel like Draymond is the heart and soul of that team. I still think that a healthy Warriors team goes further in the playoffs and wouldn't even bid in the seeding situation that they are in. I remember the Warriors shared this with me during the season. They said, we're improvising on the run with a lot of Steph out. And the playoffs is where we're going to really play ourselves into position. And it's still not a lock or guarantee that we're going to go, to the finals. Like that's uncharted territory for a lot of reasons. I think for them to even be relevant this season after nobody expected them to be in the position they were in the finals last year, and to beat a younger Celtics team, I think that's saying something. There is a lot of value for Poole. I think there are a lot of teams that Poole would fit on. I think the thing that you're finding with this Warriors team specifically is you're seeing this tug of war between young and old. And I think there are teams that would benefit from a Jordan Poole, like an Orlando Magic, if you move them.
Okay.
We're talking about front office moves. Scoop, we've seen a lot of notable head coaches get fired and hired so far this offseason. Was there anyone that stuck out to you or surprised you a little bit more than another move?
No, the Doc talk was something that was talked since the trade deadline, a little bit before the trade deadline, actually. The way it was told to me was that Doc didn't make it to the finals or the conference finals, that he was out. The Udoka situation, the hiring didn't surprise me because I knew that the talk had been in Washington that if Wes Unseld was let go, Washington would have been the spot, but they ended up cleaning house in the front office. I was also hearing Atlanta, but I know that Atlanta was looking to bring in their coach since the beginning of the season, and they ended up firing McMillan and bringing in Quinn Snyder. I know Udoka was a target there. I knew Houston was a target, and the thing about Houston is they're really looking to compete right away. Udoka's not coming to Houston without their owner making some promises and allowing him to be him. And you're seeing a lot of that Rocket staff, or excuse me, a lot of that Celtic staff coming to the Rocket staff because those were Ime's guys. I think that the thing that stood out to me that I probably was surprised about and happy for was Monty Williams taking that Detroit Pistons head coaching position and becoming the most paid coach in the NBA. I'm happy to see that.
That's where I was going next. I think that's going to be a great hire because they have a young team, and I think Monty Williams is great, not only coaching but teaching younger players and helping them grow into men, because a lot of those guys are under 23.
But the thing is, we've seen that before with Monty.
Yep.
The Phoenix Suns were the opening act at the Bubble concert. The Lakers were the main attraction, right? And look what happened a year later.
Yeah.
They went to the finals.
And Monty had that great speech in the locker room when they missed out on just making the playoffs.
Yes.
But peak game. Now, Monty leaves a stressful situation in Phoenix with more years of patience in Detroit. God bless you.
Thank you.
Great opportunity. And shout out to Wendy McKnight. She was right. I misspoke. I said 5 games. It was 6. I forgot Phoenix won those 2 games at home to even it up, and then Denver put it away after that.
Since we talking about the young boys, let's go back to Poole's comment. The Hornets got the second pick. If you're the GM, do you take? I'm not going to do that to that young man. Take Brandon Miller or Scoot Henderson, both future All-Stars.
I know that a couple of my colleagues have said that Mr. Miller would be the second pick, but the feedback that I'm getting on Scoot Henderson is that he's a gamer, he's a baller, and he's doing what he has to do. I think the jury is out on who will be the All-Star, but I do think that I've watched more Scoot Henderson than I have Brandon Miller. Every time I get ready to say his name, I'm saying, is it me or is it Quentin Miller? I'm thinking of Your Girls on the World. So what's that? The back-to-back song with Drake. But no, I like Scoot Henderson. I've watched a lot of Scoot Henderson. I like him. But I think that the Hornets also have to figure out the future health of LaMelo and all that goes with that. Like there's some things there that I want to see. And if they select Scoot, does that signal that there's 2 stars? Does that signal like I want to get some resolve or some kind of definition of what the Hornets are. I feel the same way about the Pistons.
Yeah.
Trip is active in the Bronx. I hear it in the background. It's very active out there right now.
Go ahead, Eric. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go.
And I just want to know, have you watched any tape on the Thompson twins, who's also in Amen?
No.
Okay, because I'd like to say I feel like those, they're gonna do well, both of them. I know they're both projected in the top 10, but I do want to talk. I do want to get your opinion on Wembanyama. Obviously, the Spurs have the number 1 pick in the draft. They have the opportunity to draft another potential franchise big man in Wembanyama. Talk to me about Wembanyama and what he will do for the Spurs franchise.
So I spent some time in San Antonio a couple months ago with the Spurs. And the thing that was being discussed in San Antonio was, do we get the number 1 pick and Pop's future? There are some in San Antonio who have said that Pop will stick around and work with Wembanyama. And then there's some people who have said, well, Pop, they will draft Wembanyama and then he could step aside. That being said, the reality is here. You have the opportunity to bring another cornerstone into a franchise and make magic happen with him. I remember when Duncan was drafted in '97 and the instant impact that he had with David Robinson and Avery Johnson and won multiple championships. Wembanyama comes already pre-made, having experience in France and more. And I actually met and spent some time with Victor Wembanyama back in January out in France. He was with his mom. And when I looked at him, I know we're on live TV, but I'll give you the edited version. I looked at him and he looked at me and I looked up at him and I said, Vic, you're tall as sugar honey iced tea. He fell out laughing. His mother looked at me. She's also tall. And she said, he gets it from his mama. And I'll never forget that moment. That was like the icebreaker conversation with Victor. People in Paris have all said that they've seen nothing like him, both in that space and in the NBA at large. People are saying that he's such a blend of so many different people. I've heard anything from Porzingis to Tracy McGrady to KD to Bol, and a lot of his peers, future NBA peers, are excited to see what that looks like. Porzingis told me that he is excited to see that. It's cool to see that style of basketball is here to stay. And I've talked to some of his Parisian mates, like who was that to the Clippers? Nicholas Batum. Nick told me that he recognized him when he was in high school, and he knew then that he was going to be special. He proudly wears that badge of honor and saying, I peaked him before everybody else did. I think in San Antonio, I think that's going to be such a good fit because they have a history of grooming those type of guys. But also, they're such a young team, and you really have the opportunity to create a blank canvas. And I think San Antonio was definitely a good spot for him.
I definitely lucked up with that one. As long as he can stay healthy, the way they're talking about this kid is he is going to be the next big superstar in basketball. So, and I was reading something today. They were talking about, I guess his trainer or something like that, about how he's been staying so healthy. So, as long as he can keep that up, it's looking like he's gonna have a very long and good NBA career. I'm looking forward to. I can't wait for the draft. Looking forward to seeing where these young kids end up. But yeah, San Antonio, they definitely lucked up getting that number 1 pick, and they're gonna be set. They just recycled. They just it's all over again. They did it all over again.
Yeah, they lucked out again and again. To remind people, we appreciate everybody who rocking with us tonight, man. If you're not already, make sure you subscribe to Scoop B Radio. Make sure you subscribe to Real Fans Real Talk, man. Scoop, since we're talking about the draft, obviously if Wembanyama, we expect him to go number 1. You talked about Brandon Miller possibly going number 2. What do the Portland Trailblazers do with number 3? Because it's been rumored for several years that Dame might be out of there. He might be trying to seek out a situation where he can compete for a championship. Is this the opportunity? Is this the summer where the Trailblazers make that trade, or do they continue to just go younger around him?
I think Damian Lillard is in a similar situation in Portland that Karl Anthony Towns is in Minnesota. Team that drafted you, there's a mutual respect. They're not going to make moves unless that star player says, I want out. But they don't have that luxury because once you're with a franchise for a long time, franchise could turn on you. But I think for Lillard, he's saying all the right things. He's got to get somebody out there. I think he's in a similar situation LeBron was in his first stint in Cleveland. Nobody wanted to come out to Cleveland and play with LeBron.
Mm-hmm.
I think Brooklyn would be the best fit, but because I think both Brooklyn and New Orleans have the most assets to make a move to get him, but it's a matter of will they, and that all depends on what Lillard says as far as wanting out. I think on his say, that's what it is. So, I think Brooklyn does have the assets to make it happen. I think New Orleans has the assets, but it just depends. I mean, you talk to people in the draft, they feel like it's a two team or a 2-name draft. And does the third pick mean anything? So, it just depends. I think it starts with what Lillard wants and what Portland can add.
Okay, we got let me go to Ron because Ron he got a good question, and it's something that we spoke about, but we need to speak about a little bit more. Scoop, Ron says you can't leave without answering this. Scottie Pippen still on this personal hate train of the GOAT Michael Jordan, saying he was horrible before he came. I think Pippen's train is
I think Scottie Pippen has a lot to say, and Scottie Pippen has learned from watching some of his other neighbors in the LA area disrupt and clout chase. I think Scottie Pippen has something to say. If he has something to say, he has something to say. I'll tell you that the more we talk about it, the more it's going to get Scottie his own opportunity to eventually say something in a paid manner. Scottie and I had a conversation in December at crypto.com about sitting down and talking. And he said to me, Scoop, I want to do it, but he want the bag. So I think the more and more Scottie puts stuff out, the more and more somebody's going to pay that bag to do it.
Sounds about right. I ain't mad at him then. In that case, I am
mad at him. I am mad at him because I think Scottie is a phenomenal player, but he is
for sure.
He's kind of hurting his reputation with some of these antics. Scoop, Tripp and I, we talked about this on a separate episode. I would love to see us do away with the GOAT conversation in general. It's so tough to compare guys from different eras. Why can't we just get to a point where we say, look, this was the guy that was the best at his position. It's quote unquote the best 5 guys ever, and go from there. Because it's unfair to LeBron. It's unfair to Mike. It's unfair to Kareem to compare these guys when the eras and the style of play are so different.
For the same reason that one of your guests asked me if I was saying was Jimmy better than LeBron. I think the talk radio and the first take format has been the gift that keeps on giving for clicks and everything else. And now we're tired of it because most people like toxic basketball conversations. A lot of people don't like to just watch the game, and that's okay. But I like basketball as a purist. I knowing you guys and spending time with you guys, you like it too. But y'all also like the disruptive storylines. It's something to talk about. But
it's love and hip hop NBA. That's what it is.
Yeah, but I think sometimes it gets to be too much. Personally, like I just want to watch the game.
Yeah,
I don't care about who's on first and who's on second.
I agree with that, but I hate it from this standpoint. Like we've talked so many times. I don't want to have to knock down LeBron's greatness just to prove that personally I think Mike is the greatest of all time.
Sure.
Yeah.
I would agree. And that's
LeBron is phenomenal. I don't want to have to knock down his game and pick apart his game just to make the point that Mike, in my opinion, is the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
And that goes back to the Shaq conversation about the McDonald's menu. Like if Michael is your Big Mac, just because Big Mac it might be, I'm gonna say might be number one on your menu. Listen, I like chicken nuggets with sweet and sour sauce too. Maybe I want to take a day off from that. Like, have you ever sat and just watched David Robinson's game in video?
Phenomenal.
Problem.
Like,
phenomenal.
Maybe you don't want to watch Michael that day. Maybe you don't want to watch Hakeem. Maybe you want to watch Detlef Schrempf one day.
Yeah. So wait, who would be the McRib though? If MJ is the Big Mac, who would be the McRib?
Oh no!
I'm sorry. Scoop said I don't even want to talk about. He said I don't even want to talk about the McRib. Even though it might be back. Even though it might be back. I don't.
They didn't retire it.
Yeah, man.
Oh, guys, we got to talk a little bit of boxing because we running.
Well, hold on. I got one more question. Scoop, I don't know if you can confirm or deny this in this moment, but there are rumors circulating that you might be taking Shannon Sharp's spot on Fox. I don't know how true that is. Tripp told me about it. I don't know where Tripp got the information from, but Scoop, is it possible that that's the spot you're taking, that seat is waiting for you?
I got sources.
It's funny. My producer at Bally asked me 2 days ago if I was in the running. And he was like, I think you should go after it. I was like, nah. I no.
Go ahead and embarrass Skip because he
Scoop is basically saying it wouldn't even take 2 weeks before he'd be ready to put hands on Skip. It wouldn't even be 2 weeks.
I'll be honest, I like my freedom. I like not just what I do at Bally. Which is great. I have a good team around me, seen and unseen. But I really am enjoying the work that I'm doing at Bovada. I've had a partnership with Bovada since 2020, doing a lot of just sit down interviews. Bovada.lv, you can place wagers for games all the time. If you're into the sports gambling thing, for me, I'm not a gambler. I don't gamble. My late mom had said to me, I want to say in like 2021, she didn't like the fact that I was doing betting odds because she felt like that was giving bettors appetite based upon my knowledge, and she felt like that's not a good thing. And it's funny because when I went back to Bovada, I did this whole thing where I wanted to be more proactive in creating content, and I have the segment called Scoopy Talks through Bovada's family networks on YouTube and everything else. But then, the Scoopy Radio podcast is still moving and grooving. We recently had Clarissa Shields on. We had Kyle Kuzma's mom on for Mother's Day, and we've been, me and my business partner have been rolling out Scoopy Radio since 2016. So I got enough on my plate. I'd like to in the future do more sideline reporting. I've done a lot of on-camera stuff over the past year with Bally, and I like the place I'm in, but I definitely am paying attention to what happens with the league and the next television and digital streaming deal coming up very, very soon.
Okay. Really quick, let me go back because to Hoop Baller Scoop questions. We didn't actually get to address it. Didn't Scottie Pippen have Michael Jordan bring him into the Hall of Fame?
Yes.
Is it more than just about the last dance? We all know Jordan don't win 6 without you, but he going crazy. How much does his ex-wife dating Jordan? I knew we had to get there eventually. Listen, I knew it was going to go there. I knew it.
Listen, we love our supporters, man, but every now and then they like Scoop said, they want that toxic ish. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think a lot of times players know how to stir the pot and keep stuff going And those storylines is what sell. And where do you learn it? From the biggest master headline creator there is, the NBA. So I know I know some of these folks involved, and I kind of don't want to be in it, but I'll just say that I think there's more to the story. I'll just say that.
I think Scotty should have just ran with when Larsa was, saying how they had sex like four times a day, every day for 20 years. I think he should have just ran with that. He would have been good just off of that alone. But now you're going back. Come on, we know Mike wasn't horrible before you got there, bro. And I do agree. I don't think they win 6 without each other. But we can't not acknowledge the fact that MJ is the GOAT and he was the alpha on that team, So and I love Scottie Pippen. Like Scottie Pippen was because I was a Bulls fan growing up, so I rock with both of them, But now it's just like, bro, all right, come on, now you really coming off like a hater, bro. You got to slow down some. So
let's get to the other one that Hoop Baller Scoop got up there. He wants to know if you have any thoughts on Imani Bates and his draft projections.
I haven't watched much Imani Bates, so I wouldn't be the best person to ask. Talented player, and I hope that he finds a team that wants him and it fits him, and he has a long career. So that's my thought process on Imani Bates.
And I got one last NBA one as well. Scoop, what are you hearing about players' reaction to the in-season tournament that Adam Silver, they're going to be rolling out very soon? Similar to EuroLeague soccer, what are the players saying about it? What's the overall perception around the league?
Younger players are open to it. Older players are more like, we'll see. It's a mixed bag.
I do want to see it though, just to get an idea of exactly what it's going to look like. And then if I don't like it, then I'm gonna really be on something. Now you gotta get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. Did they give an exact timetable, Eric?
I think they're trying to roll that out next year. School,
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong though, but I think Adam Silver even recently on the TNT broadcast said they're trying to bring that in next year.
More power to him. More power to him.
Yeah, introducing something like that. I think I think it's going to come with mixed reviews because depending on even from the fan standpoint, depending on the age group, you're not going to want to see that kind of a change if you're used to a certain thing. But then you got a lot of the people that's going to be in the younger crowd. They don't care. They're going to try whatever. So
yeah,
Ron's not a fan of it either. Let's talk boxing. I want to shout out the GWOAT. Successfully defended the undisputed titles this past weekend. So big shout out to Clarissa Shields, another one. And also there's two big fights going on this weekend. One in UFC and also one in the boxing world as well. Championship fights. Amanda Serrano is back in the ring for UFC, and of course Teofimo Lopez is going to be defending that title on ESPN. I think it's going on ESPN Plus.
It's on ESPN Plus, yeah.
Yeah, against Josh Taylor. And
he's
of course
defending it though. Josh Taylor is the champ.
Yeah, he's okay.
Josh Taylor is the champ, and Teofimo is challenging for it.
Yes. And I think the fight of the night though, which is going to come on before that Teofimo fight, is going to be, our good friend Bruce Shushu Carrington, who is going to be stepping back in the ring on the undercard to that fight. He fights Luis Perozzo. So I'm looking for another knockout of the year candidate with that fight as well.
I mean, you already know Shushu is our guy. Whoever they put in front of him, I'm expecting it to be fireworks. Shushu, I think, is going to look very impressive that night. And then Teofimo, I'm hoping Teofimo can win that fight, though. Josh Taylor is a very good champion. But if Teofimo wins, it just sets up the bigger projections of fights at possibly 140 and even 135, where Teofimo was undisputed at one time.
Yeah. All right. Well, let me go. Hold on, Ron. I see you got another comment. Look, we got one more basketball question. I seen that too. The USA team. Did y'all see the players that committed so far? Wonderful, Durant, and Booker commit. It's 4 open spots. That's the thing. The older cats they ain't trying to do all the years up into the Olympics. They just want to go on the year of the Olympics. So it's tough to say right now if either one of those guys will do it. But I would love to see him. Obviously, USA basketball is something that we all love.
I'd be surprised, Scoop. You let me know, but I'd be surprised if Durant were to commit. I mean, especially at this point in his career and his age.
I don't know. I honestly don't know. Haven't heard anything to support that, but it would be cool to see. Would he be the new version of Melo who just comes on that team and creates magic? We'll see. But I think he's had a long, grueling season, and you kind of want to rest your bones and get ready for the next season.
I agree with that. What else we got, Trip?
Oh, do we get to talk about DeGrom really quick because he's done for the season. I know this should be a relief for you, Eric, because he's not with the Mets anymore. So at least now when he goes out for the season, it has no bearing on what your team does.
Won't he do it? Won't he do it? Listen, I'm just speaking facts, man. He took more money to go to Texas. We were willing to give him the money to stay with New York. And don't get me wrong, I wanted him to stay in New York. The footage is out there, Trip. We talked about it after he signed. But he took more money to go to Texas. And this was my biggest fear, that he has not pitched a full season in over 4 years. So him being out again and this time for the season does not surprise me. We dodged the bullet.
Yeah, absolutely. Really quick, because I know we're running low on time. Shout out to everybody that came out to Bowling for Peace. The celebrity game was awesome. The 3-point shootout was amazing. And of course, the dunk contest definitely stole the show. Congratulations to this year's winner, Cam CEO at cam.ceo, KAM. Y'all follow him on Instagram. He's going to be joining us on the show within the next couple of weeks as well. But again, congratulations. He got the trophy. He got the $500 cash prize. Ultimately, the event was a huge success. A lot of money was raised for charity, and I think the most important thing, everybody made it home safely. In a game that was about peace and peace through sports. So shout out to Haran H2O Hargrave for putting on another successful event. We're looking forward to the baseball game that's coming up in July. So we're going to be out there supporting Bowling for Peace with that as well.
It's always great, man. Bowling for Peace. I'm looking forward to the next event. I wish I could have been out there for the basketball game, but we'll be out there for the softball game and we'll be there for next year's game.
Oh, let me say this too, because I gotta say this. Shout out to the legend, the icon, Whoopi Goldberg, who came out to Bowling for Peace and showed love to damn near everybody in the building. Anybody that wanted to take a picture, she was, first of all, Whoopi was in the stands at first, left the stands and said, all right, let me go down to the VIP area on the side, came down, and then just started taking pictures with anybody who came up to her and asked her, for a picture. And I thought that was so dope of somebody who's truly a legend in this game, to show that type of interaction with the people. I think it's an amazing thing. So big shout out to Whoopi Goldberg.
Yes, sir. What else?
Jumpin' Jack Flash was my movie too back in the day. Jumpin' Jack Flash.
Jumpin' Jack Flash. My movie was Eddie. My movie was Eddie because it actually made the Knicks win, but that's neither here nor there.
All right, so we both got ties to Whoopi Goldberg then.
Yeah.
Right. Gotta love it. Scoop, really quick. Once again, update us on what you got going
on. Same old, Scoopy Radio. Bovada, Valley Sports. That's it.
Who you got coming up? Because I know you got a big interview coming up soon. So come on, can you at least give us that one so they know to go? You know what I'm saying? Get over to Scoop B Radio and check it out.
Nah, I don't have anything big right now. Right now, I'm just doing a lot of tape stuff at Bally. Nothing too crazy. Listen, at this point in my life, I am enjoying keeping my batting average steady.
Okay.
It doesn't always have to be a home run.
Gotcha.
Singles and triples and doubles still add to your, and stolen bases always add to your batting average. They don't subtract. But we hit home runs from time to time. I'm looking to hit 350, 380, you know.
Oh, so you the Tony Gwynn. you out here, you Tony Gwynn of the basketball.
Well, you know, maybe. Nah, man,
you said 380. You said 380. You talking Tony Gwynn type numbers?
Yeah, man. Got just and even getting into being in the education space, not just the entertainment space, and imparting that wisdom and all that good stuff. So doing some grassroots local stuff, and talking to these colleges as well. That's something else that I have in my arsenal that's been consistent. So yeah.
Dope.
We definitely appreciate you though, Scoop.
Thanks for having me, as always.
Fact. One thing about Scoop, anytime we ask him to pull up, he pull up. You know what I'm saying? He ain't got Hollywood on his jet, and he doing some big things. Every time I turn around, that's why I wanted to get the drop, because every time I turn around, it's another top NBA player on the show, and then I'm like, Scoop, come on, man. You we know what's going on here, man. You out here working, you grinding, so you gotta love it, you gotta respect it, man.
Yes, sir. That's it, man. Just having fun with it. Having and learning this TikTok algorithm.
I still can't do it, man. I can't get into it.
Listen,
tried.
I'm learning all this content. I'm getting like the repurposing of content and using it to your advantage is at the right time is a thing. If you look at my TikTok, like my last post was Magic Johnson talking about Michael. And that was a video from like pre-pandemic. And I tweeted it the other day and all these blogs were picking it up. I'm like, that's crazy. Then I put it on my YouTube channel. It got like 10,000 views on it. And then I put it on my TikTok. I got like 12. I only have like 300 followers on TikTok. So like I posted it. It's like doing numbers. I'm like, this is the flip.
We gotta have to get into our TikTok.
I'm telling you,
we have to get into this TikTok thing, man. I'm gonna work harder, man, because I know cats is out here getting the bag still from TikTok. So we're gonna have to do some investigations on it, see what we gotta do, man. Because we always looking for the expansion.
That's a fact.
Say that again. What was the last thing you said?
Always looking for the expansion.
Of course.
So
of course. Get your Vancouver Grizzly and Toronto Raptor on expansion, yeah?
Exactly. Eric, you want to give us a final thought?
Man, as always, man, first and foremost, we got to thank Scoop B for taking the time to ride with us, man. We greatly appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
And we greatly appreciate all our supporters, man, all the comments, everybody who tunes in. You could be anywhere in the world, but you're rocking with us, man. So, we're thankful for that, and we look forward to just continue to put out content and hopefully see you guys again next week.
Facts. Y'all keep us busy on the damn boards with all these comments and stuff, and I love it, man. I can't get enough of y'all comments. Much love to everybody that dropped a comment today, had a question, statement, whatever. We appreciate y'all rocking out with us and being interactive with us. And yes, of course, we definitely appreciate you, Scoop, for always coming through and dropping a few gems and breaking a few stories when you can with us here on Real Fans Real Talk. You want to give us a final thought?
No, love, peace, and hair grease.
All right, man. Well, listen, y'all keep rocking with us. We got a couple of the summer's gonna be a real hot summer. We got a couple of big guests coming up. For everybody that's in the New York City area, y'all know summertime is all about street basketball here in New York City. So we're gonna have one of the announcers over at Rucker Park, Mike Larry. He's gonna be back with us within the next week or two as well. So make sure you guys stay locked in. Hit us up on our social media if you want to get the early scoop, no pun intended. Facebook.com/Real Fans Real Talk, Twitter, Instagram at Real Fan Talk. Subscribe to that YouTube channel, YouTube.com/For the Fans Productions. And of course, the website is realfansrealtalk.com. For everybody in the New York City area, We are on Verizon 43 BPN 2 every Thursday night from 8 to 9 p.m. And of course, subscribe to the Sanchez Show and the Real Fans Real Talk podcast, streaming on all major platforms. With that being said, for myself, Trip Young, my brother, my co-host, Legend in Two Games, Eric Sanchez, and of course, NBA insider Brandon Scoop B. Robinson, we up out of here. Peace.